Welcome LFI teachers. So, you've decided that you want to use blended learning strategies to increase or improve communication in your classroom. This tutorial will walk you through a few of the best teaching strategies as well as technology tools that can help you accomplish this goal. Let's begin by taking a look at the objectives of this tutorial. 1. You will be able to identify best practice strategies for communication in a blended learning classroom. 2. You will be able to identify the technology tools that you can use for communication in a blended learning classroom. Let's go ahead and review the context for this focus area. What is the goal? You, the teacher, want to be able to provide your students with the opportunity to connect or communicate with you and or each other, and possibly with other students from across the country, your classroom, or even the world. Who is this goal best suited for? For those teachers who want to continue in-class discussion outside of class, those of you that are interested in incorporating debate or in-depth reflections in your classroom, or if you want to provide your students with opportunities to share ideas and connect globally with others. So, what can this look like? In the Focus Area Intro tutorial, we took a look at a few examples of what communication in a blended learning environment can look like. Let's review. You can have students create blogs or vlogs to reflect on a topic or share ideas. You can have students respond to questions or topics in a discussion board in order to debate content, reflect, or answer higher order thinking questions. You can have students participate in backchannel discussions using tech tools such as a Twitter feed in order to communicate online about a topic that's happening in class or during homework. Or finally, you can have students create individual or group podcasts to share recorded ideas that can be accessed later on a specific topic over a period of time. These are just a few of the examples that you can incorporate into your classroom when wanting to increase or improve communication. Now let's take a look at a few best practice strategies specifically for using blogs and discussion boards in your blended learning classroom. First off, you'll want to be sure to set clear communication expectations with regard to how do you want students to respond using proper grammar and conventions, spelling, or formal or informal language. It's important to set these expectations early so that there is not any misunderstanding as to how students are to respond in blogs or on discussion boards. Make sure that you also model appropriate online communication behavior. If you are providing comments or feedback to students, make sure that you model the proper grammar and conventions or spelling that you want your own students to also be showing and displaying in their communication. It might be a good idea also, especially for discussion boards, to create groups for easier management. By putting students in groups, they only have to respond to those students that are in their group and not have to worry so much about keeping track of the entire thread of everyone in class. It also allows you, the teacher, to be able to monitor and moderate smaller groups of students rather than trying to moderate a whole class discussion. Be sure that you provide constant feedback and positive reinforcement. If students are displaying proper online etiquette and behavior, you'll want to make note of that and be sure that you reinforce that, not only in the online environment, but in the face-to-face classroom environment as well. Be sure that you are using the online discussions and blog posts as a springboard for in-class discussion. You want to be sure that you're making connections between what's happening online and what's happening in class, so that students don't feel like what's happening in the online environment exists in isolation, but that it all connects. And finally, you'll want to be sure that you set expectations for grading and criteria. So be sure that you present students with rubrics or checklists for how they should respond, how long their post should be, the amount of points that each item is worth, or the grammar or conventions and how much that is worth, as well as if they should be replying to posts and how often. All of these things will ensure that students are responding properly, effectively, and in a timely fashion. These are just a few of the best practice strategies that you should consider incorporating if you are considering using blogs or discussion boards in your classroom. Now let's take a look at a few best practice strategies for back-channel discussions. Create a trial practice discussion first. You want to be sure that you practice what you want students to do and what you expect from them before you actually grade them or use this for real in the classroom. You want to be sure to address negative behavior comments immediately so that they do not continue happening. Take those moments and create a teachable moment to share with students what's appropriate and what's inappropriate in this online forum. Be sure that you set specific start times and end times, especially if you're doing this outside of class in order for students to respond to homework questions or even during outside of class when they're not there, so that there's a start time and an end time and it does not go on forever. Keep a log of communication. Be sure that whatever system you use, you're able to go back to and refer to it in case there was any inappropriate behavior, and you're able to have a log and a record of what was communicated. Again, be sure that you make connections between online and in-class discussions so students know, A, that you're monitoring the discussion, but also that there is a connection between what they're learning outside of class and what's happening in class. Finally, it's important once you get more comfortable with using these types of communications that you allow students to lead the discussion. This will help students take ownership and responsibility for their learning. Finally, let's take a look at best practice strategies for using vlogs, video blogs, or podcasts. You'll want to be sure that you show sample vlogs and listen to sample podcasts so the student understands the purpose and the how of creating vlogs and podcasts. Require students to write a script or outline before recording. Otherwise, their vlogs or their podcasts could go on forever, lack purpose or direction, and not be as concise as needed. Create a template for students to follow. This is a good idea if this is the first time that you're doing this with students before they get the hang of it and are able to do it on their own. So share with them exactly what they should do step by step and perhaps ideas for what they should say and how they should create their script so that again they have direction and do not go off track. Be sure that you provide opportunities for feedback and reflection. Allow students to listen to each other's podcasts and vlogs and provide specific feedback on how to improve them, as well as things that they did well. Be sure that you provide students time to listen to and watch their own vlogs and podcasts and reflect on what they did well and what they could improve. If you're using groups for podcasts or vlogs, be sure to keep them small, 3 to 5 people. This will ensure that not all of the responsibility or work lies on one person, and it also won't allow things to get too out of hand if there are too many people assigned to one project. Again, be sure that you create a rubric or a checklist for assessing student posts. Also, this will help students know exactly what you're looking for and what they need to do as they create their vlogs and podcasts. Now let's take a moment to look at a few of the technology tools that you could use when implementing some of these strategies. For discussion boards, a very simple system to use is a learning management system, such as Moodle, Blackboard, Haiku, or Canvas. Many schools subscribe to a learning management system already. It would be good for you to find out if your school does so. For blogs, also, many learning management systems have the capability for students to create and share blog posts. Other options include kidblog.com or blogger.com. There are many more other free and teacher and student friendly available blogs out there. You might just need to take some time to research. For back-channel discussions, you could consider using Twitter if your school allows it, Google Hangouts if it's a back-channel discussion outside of class, or other chat rooms. There are many chat rooms that teachers and students can subscribe to for free. It will just be up to you to research what those are. And finally, for creating podcasts or vlogs, you can consider using iTunes to share, GarageBand to create, YouTube to create and share, and Vimeo to share. Again, these are just a few examples of the technology tools that exist for you to be able to increase and improve communication in your classroom using blended learning strategies. There are many more, and you are welcome to research whatever will suit your needs. On the following blend space tiles, you'll see a few sample lessons. The first video shows a back-channel discussion in using social media in the classroom. The second video describes a classroom that uses blogging in order to help teacher-to-student communication. The third video shares how a teacher uses an LMS and discussion boards in their classroom. And videos 4 and 5 are examples of how a teacher has used podcasts for group projects and communication. Take some time to review those videos that interest you based on your classroom needs and goals. Now let's take a moment finally to review and reflect. So what are ways that you can communicate using blended learning strategies? That's right, you can use anything from blogs and vlogs and podcasts to discussion boards and back-channel discussions. Now take a moment to reflect. How will you use blended learning strategies for communication in your course? Think specifically, what do you want to accomplish in your classroom? Which one of these strategies will best fit those needs? And how will you get there? Thank you for listening. The rest of the slides will provide you with examples, and you can return to the course site for additional resources on how you can use blended learning strategies for communication in your course.